first off, where's Walt? I want to give Walt a little shout out here. It's his last day today. Like our whole PR department, all our young people, all the interns do such a great job for us. So I want to wish him luck and good luck. We're going to miss you, and thanks for everything you did when you were here. Second thing I want to address is, Kai leaving yesterday. Had a great meeting with him afterwards. He handled it like a pro, like I expected he would. He had a great camp. I think he and I both feel like he left here a better kicker than he was when he got here about a year and a half ago. So he improved. He really gave Daniel a run for his money. Probably the competition went on a little bit longer than I thought it might when we first drafted Daniel. But I thought Kai did a really good job, and he is an NFL kicker, and I think he's going to be kicking somewhere this year at some point.
How good is Daniel, though? I mean, you look at this kid, and he's been through the SEC. He comes up with that kind of pooch kick onside. He's pretty talented kicker. Can you describe his skill set?
Yeah, he's got great leg strength. You're right. He's got a great skill set. Big time leg. He's got a great demeanor. Kicking in the SEC, he kicked in front of 90, 100,000 fans every week. So I don't think kicking in front of big crowds is going to be a bother for him. He's not going to bother him. He's a very composed young man. He can make any field goal kick you need him to make distance-wise. He just got to continue to work on his consistency. He's very much a weapon on the kickoff team. Hopefully he can put it out of the end zone when we need him to, especially indoors, and then outdoors as well. And then indoors he can do the different, what I call bag of tricks, the tools in his toolbox, so to speak. We keep people off balance with these new rules and kick it high and short like we did the other day and put pressure on the kickoff return team and get our defense great field position, or even get the ball back for that matter. So he can do all those things. He's very talented. We're going to continue working on his onside kicks, surprise onside kicks, and there's just a lot the young man can do. He's just, along with being a big leg, he's very composed, and he can handle these pressure situations, I think, quite well.
Daniel said that he was able to create those pressure kick situations just simply by being in a competition. Now that that competition's not here, and I know that that's something you've talked about with Kai before, and the divisional game, all those pressure kick type situations. How do you emulate that for a rookie now over the next 2 weeks, so it's not a completely new type concept where it's just him?
Well, I don't want him to put undue pressure on himself. I just think every time he goes out there for a team, like we're going to kick 6 field goals today with the team, every kick is a pressure kick. Every kick he's kicking in front of his teammates, he's kicking in front of his head coach, his GM, myself, and the whole unit. But every time he goes out there the next 2 weeks, it is a NFL regular season game kick for him, and it's got to be. That's how he prepares for the regular season. And to be quite honest, like I tell all the specialists, I mean, you're competing against everybody in the league that doesn't have a job, everybody that's been in the league or could be in the league that doesn't have a job right now. So you can never relax. You can never take a deep breath and say, hey, I've arrived, and he has not handled it. I had a good meeting after we released Kai. I had a really good meeting with Daniel as well, and we said a lot of those things and just said, hey, be confident. There's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why we drafted you. Now you just got to go out and perform like we need you to. And like any young player, I think you're always going to have some hiccups. Hopefully those happen in practice and not in games, and we'll kind of go from there.
Hey, Mike, why do you think that competition?
Go ahead, man.
What's the key for kickers handling pressure? Do you want them to be aware of it, or do you want them to just not acknowledge it?
And it's funny, I had the opportunity to be around Jeff Fiegels many years ago. He was already a 12, 13-year veteran, and he played with earplugs in, oblivious to everything. It was wild, and I actually asked Jeff one time if he knew what a 3 technique was. This is after practice. Somebody goes, he had no idea. He'd been in the league 13 years and no idea what a 3 technique was. So he was a joy to coach because he just didn't care. Yeah. I want Daniel to be aware of certain situations. I want him to be aware, understand kickoffs and why we do certain things, the methods of the madness, we say. And I don't want him to feel pressure per se. I just want him to go out here and do his job like he's prepared to do in practice, like he's prepared to do here in the next, like he did in the first 2 preseason games, and the next 2 preparing for San Francisco. So do I want him thinking about pressure? No, just going out and doing his job at a high level and continually learning and working on his craft.
Why do you think that competition went on longer than you thought it would?
Because Kai kicked so well. Kai he had a great spring. I thought Daniel outkicked him by a little bit in the spring. It was close, and then he came into camp, and I think he made a couple more field goals than Daniel did. And I think they both kicked, 34, 35 field goals, and I think Kai kicked a couple more. It was just I could see Daniel continually getting better every day, and the kickoffs played a big part of that as well. So the combination of that and being a young, hopefully up-and-coming kicker that can kick in this league for a long time, one game at a time, obviously one practice at a time, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why he's here, and he performed well and well enough to beat out Kai.
Was Kai's miss on Saturday an influence in the decision, or would you have made the move anyway?
You know, I don't know if we would have made the move anyway, but I mean, I don't know if it helped make the decision. I mean, we know who Kai is and we know who Daniel is by this point. So, you know, I think releasing Kai now does Kai a little bit of a favor, because now the teams that are really struggling, and I don't know who they are, I don't study that right now, gives him an opportunity to try to at least get a workout and maybe latch on with the team instead of getting cut 2 weeks from now or after the last preseason game. And now he's competing against 10 or 11 other kickers that have been cut as well at the same time. So I think and Rick did did Kai a favor by releasing him yesterday, in my opinion.
Daniel's a big kid. I mean, he's a basketball player. Like, we're used to seeing the Blair Walsh and the Kai quarterback. But what does that do? Is there anything mechanically pro, con, more motion, less motion?
You know, Daniel's built like a punter, like an ideal punter. And one of the things that Daniel and I talked about back in the combine in February, and then when I went down to visit him down in Auburn, was his foot's so much bigger than a normal kicker. I mean, a smaller kicker's foot. And he's got to have a little bit more discipline than a smaller kicker in terms of how he strikes the football. And once he is consistent with that, he's really, really good, because that's where the pendulum, that big, strong leg, comes through the ball, and kickoffs and field goals, PATs, everything. So there's a benefit to being a bigger guy, and there's a benefit to being a smaller guy. And I think Daniel's really trained himself and been coached up well in the years before he got here, and hopefully we'll continue in that direction and coaching him well so he can be an effective kicker for us.
Mike, as opposed to many of the other situations, you have to deal with the psychology of it. And you've seen what Blair has gone through. You've seen the back and forth with Kai. And when you see Daniel and someone who's super calm, do you think after being in those situations with these other guys that maybe you can kind of read a player a little bit better, or is that just a length of time that you spent with him? Yeah,
and that's why I went and spent so much time with him. I interviewed him twice at the combine. I spent an entire day with him. Well, took him out to dinner the night before. I worked him out, watched tape with him for an hour and a half, and then did the workout with him. So probably spent, I don't know, maybe 6 total hours with him down at Auburn. I think that's important. The personality of a kicker is very, very important, and how he handles pressure, and how he handles success, and how he handles failure, for that matter. And you know, watching his college tape and seeing how he handled certain situations, and seeing how he's handled certain situations throughout May, June, July, August, and in the preseason games, you know, I feel really good about his demeanor and how, you know, how to approach him. You know, I'm completely different. I don't think I could be an NFL kicker. I'm a little off the reservation sometimes, and I think he's so calm. You know, I can learn how to coach a guy like that, because I can be calm with him as well. And that's why I need to approach that.
Like the hiccups in the punt coverage, is that a concern with things going on schematically, or is that more of a byproduct of backups being in NFL?
No, and I hate using backups, because watching tape in years past, we've never had an issue covering punts in the preseason like this. I mean, I'm very disappointed on punt coverage thus far. And is it some young guys? Sure. But those young guys should know what to do, and I got to coach them better, and they got to prepare better, and you know, we got to do a better job with lane integrity. And you know, now I'm going to go off the reservation because I'm really pissed off. Excuse me, I'm very upset about the way we've been covering punts. But you know, we're better than that. We need to punt the ball more consistently, and Ryan and I have talked a lot about that, because when he hits them good, he's really good. And when you hit him poorly, you know, our mishits need to be 43-4-4, not 39-3-9. So we have to improve there immensely, and we have to improve there immensely in punt coverage. So going forward the next 2 weeks, that's been a huge emphasis. I don't know if you guys were at practice yesterday. We worked a lot of that, lane integrity, punt coverage, the things a little bit extra. We've always worked on that, obviously, because we've been pretty good at it here over the years, but we need to fix that quickly before we move on.
Is there a reason why over on the right side on a lot of those big returns that's occurring, or?
I think the reason they ran those right, the Denver game we're talking about, and the one last week, really they had 2. That one was called back, thank goodness. I might not be here today. I might have just kind of taken a nice long vacation, but that stuff drives me crazy. It was just poor lane integrity by those guys, different guys, you know, on you know, some different young guys that were out there, but you know, they know better, and we got to get them coached up better, and we got to punt the ball better.
Is that why Adam was part of that drill yesterday? With Thielen?
Adam Thielen?
Yeah.
No, he was just out there to help out run the drill. Yeah, you talking about as a returner, moving back and forth? No, he was just giving us a look. Yeah, because we had the other returners were working with Coach Fickett with the Gunners, so I had the interior of the punt team. We split them up, as you guys know.
Mike, how do you feel about Daniel's nerves going into this season compared to Blair going into his rookie year?
It's a great question, Mark, because they're 2 completely different people. Blair, you know, I like Blair a lot. I think Blair's a very, very good kicker, and Blair was kind of had a, I don't want to say nervous personality, and Dan was much more calm, because I think it worked for both guys. I mean, Blair obviously had a phenomenal first year, and he's done some great things in this league. And we hope Daniel can repeat that first year that Blair had. But they're two different kids and they're two different people. And you were talking about the psychology of it before. That plays a part into it. But you just kind of get to know them as a young man and what makes them tick and what makes them, how they get coached up well. And when they miss one, do I put my arm around them? Do I rip his tail? Everybody's a little bit different. And I do like Daniel's demeanor, and I like where he's coming from, and I like the direction that he's going in. Daniel
had that kickoff on Saturday that had the back spin that you almost recovered. Was that the result that you were trying to get out of that?
Probably a little deeper, but that's the kick I wanted. Yeah. And I wasn't necessarily trying to get the ball back, although that could have happened. But we're trying to use him and use his hang time. I would have preferred a little bit more hang time and a little bit more distance, but that was the type of kick we wanted. Yeah.
What do you see more Mike Hughes kick return, and are you still kind of leaning towards Marcus punt return and kick return?
Yeah, Marcus, in my mind, is still the top punt returner, and Mike, I think, will be the top kickoff returner. And he's so talented. He's got good vision. He got such a great quick step. If he sets the return a little bit better on Saturday afternoon, we might have had a big play. He didn't help his blockers enough, and that's something he's learning. I mean, he's coming here with all his God-given ability, and now you just got to refine it. I mean, he's catching punts better now. He's catching kickoffs better. Just the little things that we work on every single day that he's never been taught before. Learning how to set up his return, set up his blockers, do the little things that are going to help him at this level where he used to stop running everybody in college. Here it's a little bit different because there's a lot of fast people out there. But I am pleased with his progress thus far. As a gunner, they didn't touch him last week in the game. He played corner on punt return, did a great job on that one of the reps that Marcus had. He can play on kickoff, and he can be our kickoff returner. So until he becomes a big-time player for our defense, which could be sooner or later, I have no idea, but he'll play a lot of teams for us.